So today I'm going to be talking about a tournament that I've ignored for the past few months, and because it's starting next week, I really can't ignore it any longer, the Leagues Cup. Now, for those of you who don't know, the League Cup is a new tournament where 4 teams from the MLS and 4 teams from Liga MX in Mexico will play against each other to determine which team is the best in North America. And it is the stupidest tournament idea I have ever heard of. Last year, the MLS and Liga MX decided to partner up again and make more tournaments and more games between them. There was talk of a MLS All-Stars versus Liga MX All-Stars All-Star game. They introduced the Champions Cup last year, where the champion of the Liga MX season plays the champion of the MLS season. And basically they just want to work together to create more games between the two leagues and create a higher level of soccer in North America. So to do that, they have made the Champions League 2, because one CONCACAF Champions League a year was not enough. No, we need to prove who the best team in North America is twice a year. This is ridiculous. If you want the tournament to prove which league is better, that already exists. It's the CONCACAF Champions League, which has been running every year in its current format since 2006. And Liga MX have won that tournament every single year of its existence. Now, Major League Soccer, of course, they're like, no, that tournament doesn't count because it's played, basically starts in our preseason and then goes through the beginning of the season, and their teams aren't in top mid-season form, whereas the Liga MX teams are. But that tournament doesn't include teams from countries in Central America and the Caribbean, so it really is the best team in North America tournament, the best team in CONCACAF tournament. But, of course, the finals almost always come down to 2 Liga MX teams or 2 MLS teams. So these 2 leagues have decided to make their own special Champions League-ish tournament, and I hate it. First off, look at who qualifies for this tournament. So for the first edition this year, you have 4 MLS teams that were basically chosen at random. I don't even know why these 4 MLS teams were chosen. And then 4 Liga MX teams chosen based off of results. So already you have random MLS teams going up against the best Liga MX teams. That's a recipe for disaster for the MLS, and basically a guarantee that a Liga MX team will win this tournament, and it will be Liga MX teams likely in the final, just again a all-Mexico clash in Vegas. And they said in the future they're going to expand this tournament to 16 teams. 16 teams. A third of MLS is going to be playing in this tournament. That means that half of MLS, once you add the Champions League teams, will be playing in intercontinental matches at some point during the season. In what league do half of your teams get to play in continental matches? That is ridiculous. And also, MLS is choosing teams to play in this tournament that do not qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League. So given the 4 USA spots and the 1 Canadian spot in MLS for the Champions League, that means that it'll likely be teams 6 through 14 representing MLS in this tournament, which is your middle of the pack teams going up against Liga MX have said that it will be their top teams going into this tournament. So you get your middle of the pack MLS teams going up against the top Mexico teams, and after having already the tournament where the top MLS teams went up against the top Mexico teams. So MLS is basically saying, hey, if our top guys lost to you, our middle guys will get the job done. What? Also, do we really need this tournament and the Champions Cup? The Champions Cup it's a cool little gimmick, I guess, the top MLS team against the top Mexican team. It's kind of awkwardly placed in the MLS schedule because, of course, MLS and Liga MX have different schedules. Liga MX plays the traditional fall winter season, whereas MLS plays the summer season because it gets really freaking cold in some places that the MLS plays in. So the Champions Cup, which really would be a cool preseason friendly game, is now smack dab in the middle of the MLS season, and as shown with the first edition in Toronto last year, where only 14,000 people showed up, no one cares. It's a friendly in the middle of the season. And that's going to be the problem that happens with this tournament, is it's not the CONCACAF Champions League. No one's going to care. They're friendlies in the middle of the season. Sure, just look at the Gold Cup attendance and see that Mexican fans who live in the US show up to Mexican games everywhere, but it also isn't the Mexican national team, and these Mexican teams generally aren't as well followed in the United States as the Mexican national team is. So honestly, from an attendance standpoint, it's probably not going to do that well because no one's going to care. The Champions Cup last year showed that no one really cares about these tournaments. They're friendlies, basically. The fans who really care and really follow these teams will follow the CONCACAF Champions League and care about the CONCACAF Champions League. The general fans who don't know the inner mechanisms of every single one of these tournaments aren't really going to care that much anyway, because it's just another game to them. Sure, it's neat that you play a Mexican team, but again, it's basically a friendly, and it will probably be attended like that. Another problem with this is the MLS already condensed their schedule this year. They added more midweek games. They wanted to shorten the schedule and have the season end like a month earlier than it was ending in mid-December, because MLS soccer going from late February to mid-December is entirely too long of a season. It was way too drawn out, so they condensed the season. They added more midweek games because they wanted to keep the amount of regular season games the same. That's all fine and good, except now you're adding another tournament, so your teams and your players who are already getting worked more than they were and already having to play more midweek games, you've now added at least one more midweek game to their schedules, possibly 2, 3, or next year 4 more if they go far in this tournament. And at that point, you're just starting to overplay your players and overplay your teams. And the teams who do well in this tournament will likely struggle down the stretch, because you're going to have a point where teams are going to have to choose, do they perform well in this tournament or do they push to make the playoffs? Because remember, the middle ranked MLS teams are playing in this tournament, which means that they're also the same teams who in August and September, when this League's Cup will take place, are going to be fighting for a playoff spot. So maybe your designated players don't play in this tournament because you need them for the weekend match. That determines whether or not you can qualify for the MLS playoffs. So this is just a third chance in a year for Liga MX to prove that they are better than MLS. And you might be saying, well, Stavros, Liga MX decided to do this tournament as well, so this is also a bad idea on their part. But Liga MX has no reason not to do this tournament, because they're better than MLS, and they know they're better than MLS. So this is an opportunity for them to make more money, for them to show off their product in another country, and to build a bigger fan base. And basically just prove yet again that they have the superior product. And for Liga MX, this tournament does not matter, because if an MLS team wins this tournament, the Liga MX can just say, it was a friendly tournament, it was played entirely in the United States, it doesn't matter. If a Liga MX team wins though, they can still look at them and they're like, look, we're still better than you because we win as is expected. MLS teams could win this tournament 5 years in a row, and it would not matter for the MLS to Liga MX parity unless they win Champions Leagues. Until MLS teams start regularly winning Champions Leagues, Liga MX will always be better. This tournament will not change that. So yeah, that's my rant for the Leagues Cup. I honestly could not care less about who wins this tournament. It doesn't matter. It's a bunch of friendly games in the middle of the season. Again, it's a pre-season tournament that takes place in the middle of your regular season. Good job, MLS. Liga MX, you're fine. This is basically a preseason tournament for you. That's completely okay. You get some of your teams some good minutes against decent MLS teams in mid-season form. Good for you. But yeah, that's that for this video. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to see more of my stuff, hit subscribe. And I have a Twitter. I don't feel like I don't say that ever. I tweet about basically sporting events for CONCACAF, Major League Soccer, a lot of Toronto stuff, kind of as it happens. So if you want to follow me on Twitter and get kind of my quicker, short reactions to tournaments and whatnot, follow me on Twitter. The link's down in the description. And yeah, I'll see you next time.